right. Welcome back to those who are returning. This is Chicken Philosophy. Carl Jung's Black Books, part 74, in which we will continue reading Carl Jung's Black Books. We're up to book 5. We're toward the end of book 5. So that's fun. For those who are new, here's the quick version. There's me, there's Edward, there's Gwydion. Same face, different outfit. Gwydion wears a hat. And there's 5 books right now so the books rotate and the people rotate. As a result, there are 15 permutations of persona with book. When I, that is Frater BT, am reading Carl Jung's Black Books, so 1 out of every 15 episodes of Chicken Philosophy, we pull a rune and 6 cards to see if we can get some kind of an energetic clue about what kind of journal entry Carl Jung is going to write that we haven't read yet. So, but before we do that, of course, as always, except when I forget. There's first a beverage today. We have a lovely black coffee, Nescafe. Not to say that Nescafe is lovely. It's just what I've got right now in a Starbucks cup. So it's wannabe Starbucks. So you can see the cinnamon has been in the coffee for long enough to look like this. I'm a bit of a Dune nerd, if you didn't notice. Dune behind me. I in my mind, in my innermost secret private thoughts, when I put cinnamon in my coffee like this, I call it spice coffee. So cheers. All right. And the incense for today is Satya brand Dragon's Blood. Those who caught the Martin Luther? No. Meccan Revelation? Was that Meccan Revelation? Yeah, I think it was. Last time. We'll be somewhat familiar with Satya brand, if you weren't already. And even if, holy hell. Even if you were already familiar with that brand, you might be a little more familiar with the word and simultaneously its older form and its newer form than you were before you saw that episode of, what did we decide it was? Meccan Revelation. So if you're curious about that, if you want to know more about Satya brand incense, then you can click a few days ago's episode of Meccan Revelation right there. And there you have it. Also, there's a little bit of like Venus, Venus has been mentioned more than once on Chicken Philosophy. Of course, there's Uma Thurman as Venus.
Hello.
Mentioned at one point. But last time we were talking about the alchemical Venus from a sort of Golden Dawny perspective, go figure, and how it relates to the sun and that kind of thing. So that is also there if you wanna learn about that. Check out last time's Meccan Revelation. It was pretty good. Gwydion isn't always good. This week, I'd have to say Edward was the loose cannon and Gwydion was a nice grounding influence. Sometimes things go backwards for one reason or another. I don't understand it. Okay, so we've done the incense, we've done the beverage. Now it's time. Oh, yeah. I was going to mention the Empress. Is that the Empress? Yes. That's Venus. The Empress is related to the letter Dalet, which is right here. It's the green one. And so there's the elements, the planets, and then the signs of the zodiac. So the middle the green one at the bottom, that's Dalet, which is related to Venus. and the Empress. And on the Tree of Life, let's Tree of Life me. It's the path that connects the black one with the gray one, Binah with Chokmah. So in a sense, it's the door that the light from Keter has to pass through in order to get to the, Tiferet and the Tree of Life in general. Sort of, you could look at it that way. Okay, let's bring the cards back. Before I get to the definitions, I like to, in my youth, I was much more of a person who would give my off-the-cuff, sometimes caricatured take on whatever card or symbol, but I don't know. In keeping with the theme of chicken philosophy being reading things aloud, and just because I kind of want to get the exact words in the words of the people behind the decks usually, except in the case of Rider-Waite, but this is my dad gave me this book when I was 9 to learn the Rider-Waite deck. This book we're going to get to right here for the Rider-Waite Seven of Pentacles. A strong young farmer, go on, leans on his hoe. You seen Princess Bride? It's basically the plot of Princess Bride is what I'm reading so far. And gazes at the pentacles growing on the vine at his right. Okay, it's officially diverged from the plot of never mind. Okay, so will he receive the harvest from his work? Divinatory meaning. It's right side up. I let these be upside down at times because my dad did, and this is his old deck. So this is him chiming in on what Carl Jung is going to say today. Pause during the development of an enterprise. Unprofitable speculations. Loss of promising fortune. Disappointment. Anxiety about a loan. Success not attained. I think a lot of people are feeling that these days. Just hold, don't sell until he's out and things recover. The dumbest thing you could do right now is sell, if that applies to anybody. And now for what I'm thinking of here as the main event, because I don't think we've really gone into the Golden Dawn Empress symbolism on chicken philosophy yet, so I'm going to read the whole thing. The magical title of this card is Daughter of the Mighty Ones. The path of the Empress is the mediator between the father and the mother, Chokmah and Binah, same page, the Cicero's and I, on most things related to Golden Dawn. It is, quote, the wisdom and politics, there are a bunch of lefties. It is, quote, the wisdom of understanding, the union of the powers of origination and production, the sphere of the zodiac acting through Venus upon Saturn, end quote. Let me explain that for those who didn't attain the grade of practicus in a traditional Golden Dawn order. Let's break Tree of Life me. So, yeah, it's a certain type of sentence that you derive by taking the, let's just pick one. This is isn't this the Binah and Geburah, right? So in between Binah and Geburah, if I recall correctly, is Cancer. I mean, the Chariot, right? So Binah is related to Saturn, and Geburah is related to Mars, and the Chariot is related to the zodiacal sign Cancer. So what is there's a certain phrase for it that's slipping my mind right now. The phrase you're looking for is the energy influences on the paths. But basically the idea is it's Saturn acting through Cancer upon Mars. So when you look at, to get a kind of a further clue into the meaning of the Chariot card, then you could see where it is on the Tree of Life and take the Sephira that is higher, in other words, further up the path of the flaming sword. So, Netzach, the green one, is higher than the orange one, Hod, even though they're on the same level to, a first glance, because it zigzags, right? So, the blue one is higher than the red one, the gray one is higher than the black one. That about covers it. So you take the higher of the two Sephirot in question and take the heaven of Asaya of it, and which is usually a planet, and then say it's acting through the whatever zodiacal element or planet is related to the card. It's, like I said, there's one for each, so there's 22, so there's 7, 12, and 3, right? Upon the lower one. So in the case of Chokmah, it's beyond the planets. So it's what? The stars? Yeah. It's called the sphere of the zodiac. So it's the whole sphere of all the stars that aren't wandering. The planets. I think planet, if I'm not mistaken, is an ancient word that means wandering or something like that, right? So wandering stars, the wanderers, right? So yeah, the Empress is the sphere of the zodiac acting through Venus upon Saturn. So you can meditate on that for an hour and then jot down any notes you get about what it means. This is also the path of unity. ... Why are you putting dots in your description, Sandra? I didn't say check, notice. That was on purpose. The unity of the powers of force and form, parentheses, resulting in the title, Daughter of the Mighty Ones, end parentheses. The Empress is the universal mother figure whose womb we must be born out of to reach a higher level on the tree of life. She is all fertile, all light. In her Venus aspect, she is all loving. She contains the root essence of emotion in its most pure form, not that of the full spectrum of emotions that manifests in Netzach. So, okay, yeah. So Tree of Life okay, so the green one, in that it's related to Venus, it's the full spectrum of emotions, according to what we just read, where this green path up here is just the root essence of emotions, not the expression of the full range of them, right? Okay. In the new Golden Dawn Ritual Tarot deck, which was new about 30 years ago, or more, the Empress is seated on an earth-brown throne to represent her function as form builder of all that eventually manifests on earth. Her vestments, parentheses green to signify Venus, and parentheses, are covered with red fleur de lis, French thing I assume, which allude to the womb, the yoni in Sanskrit. The red flowers not only suggest the Venus-Mars opposition in balance, but also show that Binah's absolute color is bright red. So the black one in the king scale, you're bringing scales in this shit. I made that too. That's the king scale, is obviously red. You saw it turn red. Okay, back to normal and then back to the cards. Good. We're on the same page, Editor Edward and I. The Empress holds an ankh in her left hand as a symbol of British esoteric cultural appropriation of African culture. Well, yes, but as a symbol of Venus and eternal life. I know the Greeks ruled there too, and the British claim lineage to Greece through Plato or I don't know what. Never mind, I'll just... yeah. This symbol is also shown connecting the two sides of her robe at her throat, the Da'at center. So, Da'at, this is really, if this is Gibura and this is Gedula and this is Binah and this is Chokmah, then Da'at would be more like here. But, we use the throat to represent the Da'at on the middle pillar ritual, for example. All right. What is anybody who is familiar with the middle pillar or the microcosmic man, microcosmic mirror of the universe type thing? What do you think about the third eye as the reflection of Chokmah, using Ya there? I had a teacher who taught me that as an option, though I think he might have got that from Ka, but maybe not. What? the dot center. This suggests that the symbol of Venus, which encompasses all of the Sephirot, hopefully, I'm sure I was able to create that, if not find it on the internet. So of all the planetary symbols, Venus is the one that encompasses the whole tree of life. Note that Mercury does not. Mercury is like a cup receiving from Keter. Mercury kind of requires a duality. See, there's Kether and not Kether, right, with Mercury. So there's black and white tiles, there's synaptic on-offs, binary switches, right, if you will. It's Portrait of Reason Me. That's a thing I made when I was 2. No, I made it like 25 years ago. But anyway, whereas Venus includes Keter, so it's the whole thing. It's more wholesome and organic that way. So then you can meditate on that maybe that stuff that Gwydion said yesterday was incomplete, right? Because the sun, in a sense, is limited in that it doesn't include the nitty-gritty, dirty, astral and physical stuff, let alone the stuff below, right? So really, in order to have a complete, wholesome being, it would have to contain everything from Keter to Malkut, right? I mean, I don't know. Sure, I think so. Where were we? In addition to the Ankh, the Empress holds in her right hand a royal scepter, surmounted with a golden globe. I've never watched that, except for when I was forced to as a child. The sun, implying that she dominates the heavens. The dove, a further symbol of love and of Venus. Oh, that's why it landed on Jesus' head. Maybe something about him and John the Baptist. BT, they're cousins. Don't. All right, never mind. No, platonic love, cousin love. I mean, the not weird kind. Alludes to the Holy Spirit, right. The dove, a further symbol of love and of Venus, alludes to the Holy Spirit, the Christian image of the feminine part of the divine. Oh, that's where it is. I've been wondering for 46 years where the lady is in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Why not just say the Mother, the Father, the Son, and the Mother? I mean, we know the Holy Spirit has a relationship with Mary. Wait a minute. So the Holy Spirit got Mary pregnant. I question this. Holy Spirit seems more spermy in that story. Never mind. Let's just roll with it. It's a dove and it's feminine. It's the Holy Spirit, and the Trinity is now no longer out of whack, especially if Jesus is a hermaphrodite. Continuing, known to Kabbalists as the Shekinah, the divine presence of God. Shekinah literally meaning presence of God. Who encourages us in our yearning for God. The shape of the dove suggests the white shin of spirit, which is seen at the top of the card. The figure is seated before a green veil, whose folds fall in the shape of an arch or doorway, meaning the Hebrew letter Dalet. Venus is attributed to the wall, which is the entrance of the vault of the Adepti. Throwing that in there, that's true. So there's each of the 7 walls of the vault of the Adepti is related to a planet. How do you get in? Well, one of the walls is a door or has a door on it, and that is the Venus door wall. The aspiring adept must pass through. Anybody who saw Godelian, the 7 walls with the 40 squares on each one. The aspiring adept must pass through the gateway of Venus, which is the symbol of rebirth. But the Empress herself is the actual doorway through which we must pass. The brilliance of Kether blurs her outline as she sits in patient glory. That's in patient glory, not impatient glory. That's also a cool turn of phrase. They both are, really. Interpretation in a tarot reading: beauty, happiness, pleasure, success, also luxury and sometimes dissipation, but only if with very evil cards. Next we have strength. As you can see, the lady fucking with the lion or griffin, or it should be a lion, right? Let's see what the old Celtic tarot manual has to say about it. Strength. The young woman holds the jaws of the beast to demonstrate her power over the uncontrolled forces of nature. The wild beast shown is the Celtic equivalent to the lion, a beast traditionally associated with the card of strength. Okay, that's what I was alluding to, right? And it's also Leo, if you were wondering. This is not physical strength, but a determination to work a good purpose. Her pale gray-blue robe is the esoteric or spiritual color of strength. Is it? To interpret the significance of this gesture, the Celtic legend of Queen Macha is a relevant comparison. I am certain I did not pronounce Macha correctly. As a young girl, Macha had power and strength equal to any man. She fought and slew her brother Dithorba to rule Ireland in her own right. Thank you, Editor Edward, for keeping up with that. Her slender stature and fragile beauty belied her formidable strength of character. She was known as, quote, Queen Macha of the red or golden hair, end quote. On the 1st of August, a great festival was celebrated in her honor in Imain, where she had founded a palace. There is a fertility aspect of the triple goddess associated with this date, which indicates the sexual force or drive contained within the image of a young girl subduing the forces of nature or man to conceive. So that's what the kids are calling it these days. Or those days. Never mind. There are many legends concerning Queen Macha. Her beauty became a sinister aspect of her strength when she appeared in battle. Her bright, flashing eyes were as deadly as a serpent's and made men freeze with horror. She is linked in Celtic mythology to the intermingling of the people of the Danann ancestry with the human race. The Danann people were fairy people and have been described as radiantly beautiful, but they wielded their power from sorcery and enchantment. She did not die naturally, but could be slain by each other. They did not die naturally, but could be slain by each other and by some mortals. Their powers of strength were supernatural, which is again symbolic of the card. It is a time when extraordinary force is required to overcome a weakening aspect of character or a force that pervades the querent. That's like the aspirant, but different. There's someone who asks something. It's not really aspiring. You know, what's going to happen in my future? Different from being an aspirant. An aspirant is like, I shall enter upon the path. Teach me, O master, right? You can be neither of the two and be perfectly healthy as a person. Just putting it out there. The vivid characters in Celtic mythology have a unique blend of mortal and immortal qualities. It is a record of their own evolving nature, which the Celtic wheel behind the young queen symbolizes. It holds the intricate energies of Earth and requires a strength of purpose to recognize and to master. The Celts expressed their flamboyant nature in their art with great sensitivity and style. The card Strength has also been called Justice, which is confusing because there's another card called Justice, which is Lamed, which is the green one. This is Tet we're talking about, which is the yellow one on the outside rim. I mean, the outer. All right. For strength, what? No. And this perhaps conveys a truer image when using the justice for divination. For strength is the sword arm of justice, if it is to be used wisely and mercifully. It also reveals a time when consolidating action is required, not just the presence of action. Okay. Dignified, which it is here. It shows an honorable cause or objective. The querent will be successful, providing he or she does not lack the courage to face up to adversities. The power of leadership is shown, which enables the querent to take charge of a situation. Sexual motivation is another aspect which could be relevant, Carl. Carl. What are you doing, Carl? Carl. It is a very positive card overall and will detract from some of the difficult forces of the surrounding cards. Well, Empress, we got some strong women represented here. We got sort of a woke episode in the divination. Cool. I mean, he just got back in touch with his soul, so I'm really not surprised. Next, we have the bear, just bear. Power, wisdom, dreams and visions. Don't forget caution. Mighty bear, courageous, is showing little fear. If bear has lumbered your way, it is telling you that you have the gift of insight and the ability to access your dreams and visions, provided you give yourself moments of meditation and quiet to discover them. Perhaps you have the gift of healing. This can come in many ways. Can't we all? But make sure you work on your own healing as well. Remember, balance activity with rest. And Carl's tool that he can use is the eyes of the eagle. We quite often get the eagle here in the white eagle medicine wheel divination, but today we don't. But we have the eyes of the eagle. So, according to Dungeons and Dragons, what benefit does this bring him? These crystal lenses fit over the eyes. While wearing them, you have advantage on wisdom, parentheses perception, and parentheses checks that rely on sight. In conditions of clear visibility, you can make out details of even extremely distant creatures and objects as small as 2 feet across. And finally, we've got the Ancient Cold Dragon. Cool. What can we find out about this? Breath weapons. The dragon uses one of the following breath weapons. Fire breath or weakening breath. It can change shape and polymorphs into a humanoid or beast. Oh, I played one of these once when I was very young. Multi-attack. Sounds ferocious. Good luck, Carl. Seems like you're up against a formidable foe in this dragon. Okay, well, now we've done the divination, and Editor Edward will tell us later on, give us a wave, Editor Edward. He's in the future from my perspective. He's in the past from your perspective, obviously, right? Should be pretty obvious, I think. So yeah, he's going to tell us later on what, if anything, how these cards and rune... Did we do the rune? We skipped the rune. All right, last but not least, usually it's supposed to be first, we have Manaz, or the self. Oh, that's very Jungian, right? Man, woman, the human race. I like the self better, personally. All right, now we've got the whole thing, and let's let that fade away except for the rune. Actually, let's let the rune fade away, because we've got Wild Tara up here. I don't know. Can we put the rune here? All right, it's a little unorthodox for these episodes, but unorthodox is my middle name, as you all know. It's actually Charles, but... Okay, so what happened to Carl Jung? January 11th, 1916. Oh, this bitterness! You have dragged me through sheer and utter hell. You have tormented me nearly to death, and I long for your thanks. Yes, I am moved that you thanked me. The hound's nature lies in my blood. Therefore I am bitter. For my sake, since how does it move you? You are divine and devilishly great, wherever and howsoever you are. I am only your prison guard, your eunuch doorkeeper, no less imprisoned than you. Thrice damned marriage! Speak, you concubine of heaven, you divine monster. I think he's talking to his soul. It's pretty safe to say, for those who've been following along. They have a weird relationship. Have I not fished you from the swamp? How do you like the black hole? Speak without blood. Sing from your own force. You have gorged yourself on men. Quote, pity, stern one, have compassion. End quote. Compassion? Have you ever had compassion for me? You brute, bestial tormentor. You've never gotten past compassionate moods. You lived on human food and drank my vital powers. Has it made you fat? Will you learn to revere the torment of the human soul, of the human animal? What would you souls and gods want without man? Why do you long for him? You cannot be without him. Speak. Quote, do I have 100 years in the penitentiary? How long will the punishment last? End quote. You complain already? I cannot keep you for 100 years. What nonsense you speak. Perhaps 20 or 30 more, then you will be free, and no jealous lover will imprison you any more. Then you will hear my silence through all eternities, and no one will know or love you. Once Satan was thrown into the abyss for 1,000 years, and you? Soon freedom will come to you, but without men. I think he's alluding to, and I've only heard this kind of secondhand, this idea, some interpretation, it's not really clear. Looking at Revelation, it's kind of like, how do you get this from this? But this idea that when Jesus came for 1,000 years, Satan was locked up, and then after 1,000 years, he was let loose, and Jesus and Satan ruled together. And then after another 1,000 years, there's the rapture, and then Satan rules by himself. Which, looking around, I don't know, maybe there's something to it. Maybe this is we're under the reign of... No, it's all a bunch of horse monkey, obviously. Spice coffee. Where were we? Okay. If there are to be bloody tears, then let me weep them over you. Speak! Ho? He spells it W-H-O-R-E. I find it a little bit less jarring to use the shortened form, spelled H-O. Wasn't somebody leaning on Wesley from Prince of Egypt? No, Princess Bride. Oh, R.I.P. Val Kilmer, speaking of Prince of Egypt. If you didn't realize, Val Kilmer played Moses in Prince of Egypt, go rewatch that. It's a fucking good movie. Underrated. Quote, I'm speechless. I'm horrified at your accusation. End quote. What accusation? Oh, well. Are you going to get serious? Are you going to have Are you going to have second thoughts? Are you going to learn modesty, or perhaps even some other human virtue, you soulless soul being? Question mark. Being? Yes, you have no soul, because you are the thing itself, you fiend. Would you like a human soul? Should I perhaps become your earthly soul, so that you will have a soul? I've gone to your school. All I wanted was a Pepsi. I go to your schools, I go to your churches. I've learned how one behaves as a soul, perfectly ambiguous, mysteriously untruthful, and hypocritical. But above all, one must start with betrayal. You are blessed, virgin soul. Praised be your name. You are the chosen one among women. You are the God-bearer. That's a reference to... This is the God-bearer. Mary, when she was pregnant, she gave birth to God, right? Praise be to you. Honor and fame be yours in eternity. Amen. I'm assuming he's being sarcastic, so what? He put that in the red book. Okay, whatever. My sarcastic prayer, I'll put it in like it's serious. You live in the golden temple. Or unless he just shifted his whole attitude in the middle of a sentence. You live in the golden temple. The peoples come from afar and praise you. I, your vassal, wait on your words. I drink red wine. That explains your drunkenness, as you write. No, dispensing a sacrificial drink in recollection of the meal of blood that you celebrated with me. I prepare a black chicken for a sacrificial meal in remembrance of the man who fed you. Okay. I invite my friends to the sacrificial meal, carrying wreaths of ivory and roses in remembrance of the farewell you took from your sorrowing vassals and maidens. Let this day be a festival celebrating joy and life, the day upon which you, the most blessed one, commenced the return journey from the land of men, where you have learned how to be a soul. You follow the Son who ascended and passed over. You carry us up as your soul and set yourself before the Son of God, maintaining your immortal right as an ensouled being. We are joyful. Good things will follow you. We lend you strength. We are in the land of men, and we are alive. All right. I don't know. It seemed like it started out with a different tone than it ended with. Like, was he... Okay. That was his day. That was his entry, what he wrote down that day. I said post, or one of us said post, as if this were like a Facebook post. No, he wrote it in his diary. Continuing, the next post that he wrote. January the 13th, 1916. What holds you back? What are you hiding? Probably a golden vessel, a jewel that you have stolen from men. Isn't that a gem, a piece of gold shining through your robe? What is the beautiful thing that you stole when you drank the blood of men and ate their sacred flesh? Speak the truth, for I see the lie on your face. Quote, I haven't taken anything. End quote. You are lying. You want to cast suspicion on me where you are at fault. Those times when you could rob men are over. Surrender everything that is their sacred inheritance and that you have rapaciously claimed. Rapaciously? You have stolen from the beggar and the vassal. God is rich and powerful. You can steal from him. His kingdom knows no loss. Shameful liar, when will you finally stop plaguing and robbing your humanity? Quote, I do not suspect you. I wish you well. I respect your right. I acknowledge your humanity. I do not take anything away from you. You possess everything. I, nothing. End quote. Yet you lie insufferably. You possess not only that marvelous thing that belongs to me, but you also have access to the gods and eternal fullness. Therefore surrender what you have stolen, liar. Quote, how can you? I no longer recognize you. You are crazy. Even more, you are laughable, a childish ape who extends his paw toward everything that glitters. I will not allow what is mine to be taken from me. End quote. You're lying. You're lying. I saw the gold. I know it belongs to me. You ought not take that away. Give it back. Quote, I don't want to part with it. It's too precious to me. Do you want to rob me of the last ornament? End quote. Embellish yourself with the gold of the gods, but not with the meager treasures of earthbound human beings. May you taste heavenly poverty after you have preached earthly poverty to men for so long, like a true and proper cleric full of lies, who fills his belly and purse and preaches poverty. Quote, you torment me awfully. Just leave me just this one thing. You men still have enough. I cannot be without this very one, this incomparable one, for whose sake even the gods envy men. End quote. I will not be unjust, but give me what belongs to me and beg for what you need from it. What is it? Quote, alas, that I can neither keep it nor conceal it. It is love, warm human love, blood, warm red blood, the holy source of life, the unification of everything separated and longed for. End quote. So it is love that you claim as a natural right, although you still ought to beg for it? You get drunk on the blood of man and let him starve. Love belongs to me. You'll crawl and beg for it like a dog. You'll raise your hands. You will fawn in order to get it. I possess the key, and I will be a more just administrator than you half-beings, you soulless souls, and you godless gods, and you God-forsaken God. You will gather around the source of blood, and you will come bearing gifts, so that you may receive what you need. O men, protect the holy source, so that no god can seize it for himself. The gods know no measure and no mercy. They get drunk on the most precious of droughts. They waste it in drunkenness, since they know neither God nor soul. Presumptuousness and excessiveness, severity and callousness are their essence. Greed for the sake of greed, power for the sake of power, pleasure for the sake of pleasure, immoderation and insatiableness. This is how you recognize the daemons. Ha! You have yet to learn, you devils and gods, to crawl in the dust for the sake of love, so that from someone somewhere you snatch a drop of the living sweetness. Just to translate that into today's vernacular, you've heard the expression, I drag my balls through 2 miles of broken glass just to hear her fart through a walkie-talkie. That's what he's saying is the 1916 version of that. Okay, continuing. Learn humility and pride from men for the sake of love. You gods, your firstborn son is man. He bore a terrifyingly beautiful, ugly son of God. But this mystery, too, is accomplished with you. You bore a son of men, no less splendid, terrible, and you will also serve under his rule. Both God and man are disappointed victims of deception, blessedly blessed, powerfully powerful. The eternally rich universe should unfold again in the earthly heaven and the heaven of the gods, in the underworlds and in the worlds above. Separation once more comes to the agonizingly united and yoked. Endless multiplicity takes the place of what has been forced together. since diversity alone is wealth, blossom, and harvest. Then there's a line, I kiss you, you book of light and life. Then there's another line, and it's the end of the post, the end of the diary entry. I don't know. It's hard to, like, think of, let's bring up the cards and shit. Like, is Carl even the good guy in his own story? You know what I mean? He's being pretty shitty. He's been shitty before. It's kind of comforting in a way that someone so renowned as Carl Jung, you know, sounded a lot like me when I was 14 and, like, blasting Nine Inch Nails in my headphones and writing angry poetry about God and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Editor Edward, what do you think? Did we hit the nail on the head with any of these cards or runes as far as these two entries?
Maybe. So first of all, we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Empress. You mentioned in the description at the beginning that the Empress is related to the path, which is the root essence, the origin of emotion, where Netzach is the full spectrum of emotion. The Seven of Pentacles refers to Netzach of Earth. So it's the full spectrum of the most earthy of emotions, you might say. So this split, here we have Manaz, we have self, which clearly, I mean, Jung gets into some, like, the I versus the self versus the me versus the soul versus the mind versus, he has himself divided into a multiplicity that makes sense to him, which I can respect, obviously. But his is different from mine, obviously. Okay, so what are we talking about? So he's got a dialogue, you might say, though it seems to be, I mean, he's doing the puppet. He's providing the words for the soul that he's yelling at like a misogynist incel asshole. So I don't know, but it seems like he's identified firmly in the lower, the mere mortal, who hates the divine side of himself, in the midst of acknowledging that that's what he's talking to. So he's, I mean, it's interesting. It is interesting. I can kind of relate with that in that if I 100% relate to my eternal, immortal, and limitless self, then it kind of puts me in a place where I'm not in touch with the day-to-day struggles of people who completely are identified as a inheritor of a dying world. In other words, a slowly, ceasing to exist biological entity, genetic entity, or whatever. So I don't know. It's interesting. The whole picture is interesting, but anyway, so yeah, self as like our anchor of like this is all going on in himself. You've got so this was, you remember the strong young farmer, the unprofitable speculations, pause during a development of an enterprise. So this whole conversation seems like it's the expression of a frustration that lower Carl is having in his quest to come up with some kind of answer or system or way of approaching psychology and mysticism, or psychology and mythology, and he feels like it isn't going anywhere, and he's blaming his soul or something. So I don't know, just kind of that general picture of this duality. I think this sums up that, like, this is the man Carl, and this is the soul of Carl, that he's being really shitty to right now. And yeah, so there's that. The holding something gold, that was interesting. The soul talking about that gods envy mankind because they get to experience human love. That was just sort of an interesting thing to contemplate. And the that relates also to the goggles, the eagle crystal glasses that are supposed to give him extra perception. He was able to see that she was concealing something gold under her robe. Maybe it's a stretch, but it's all I got for those goggles down there. Yeah, the whole description, it was nice coupling. Just sort of generally on a vibe level, it was nice to hear the description of the Empress, the description of the Celtic, personified Lady of the Strength card in Matcha. And that kind of brought it down to earth, which is ironic because she's part fairy. But, it gave an interesting character. And with a sinister edge too, and so and then behind the rune, of course, we have Wild Tara. It's sort of unknown who that statue is, but the guys who sold it to me said it was Wild Tara, but they were Sikh, so it's a Tibetan thing. It's tantric Hinduism and tantric Tibetan, tantric Buddhism. It's one of those places where they kind of overlap. You could tell by the style of the dog that it's Tibetan style and therefore Buddhist. Otherwise, without the style of the dog, then it could just as easily be a Hindu tantric deity. So this is one of those. It's very rare that I will actually buy a statue without knowing specifically who it is. But I felt particularly drawn to this. But anyway, okay, bring back the rune. These three archetypes, coupled with the soul that Carl Jung talks to with such disrespect and respect. He had like a full like invocation or a full like, you are in the golden temple and, all this stuff in the midst of like this weird love-hate thing he's got going on. All right. So the Empress, what did I write? Holding something gold, love, whole tree, Carl plus anima. Oh, yeah. At the beginning, you BT, were talking about the Venus, which encompasses the whole tree of life. And in order to be a complete, whole, and organic being, to include Keter, to include the source self, the highest, self that is God, basically, and the lowest self, the conversation that Carl is having with his soul seems to, if you could just combine the two, which I think at some point he does merge with his soul. We'll see how that goes when we get there. But he's got everything. He's got a firm wall, a Berlin Wall or something. He's got like a firm dividing line between I'm me, you're thou, right now. But if you combine the soul and the man, then you've got the whole tree of life. And so that was something I thought I'd point out. Okay, so under strength, I've written weakening of character, yes. And then assholiness, incel vibes, pervading the Carl. Yeah, very much so. We lend you strength. Oh, right. When he was talking to his soul, he said, we humans lend you, the souls, the gods, strength. So strength, the word strength, made me think of the strength card here. Right. And that was in his random prayer at the end of the first entry. Okay, so the bear. This is very clear, very to the point. Power, wisdom, dreams, and visions. Yeah, that's what he's doing right now. He's having this dreamy vision conversation with his soul. You have the gift of insight. Yes. The ability to access dreams and visions. He certainly does. Maybe the gift of healing. I put in parentheses, psychological. Work on your own healing as well. Yeah. Right now in January of 1916, I'd say work on that primarily before you start trying to fiddle with the brains of others. And I think at some point, I forget, we went over it in parts 1 through 15 of this series. By the way, I haven't mentioned Carl Jung's Black Books, if you want to start at the beginning. Anyway, so yeah, he stepped down as like the leader, president of the psychological Swiss people or whatever, because he thought, oh, I've got a lot, I'm just losing my mind, and I'm not in a place where I'm gonna be of any good to anyone else. And yeah, I can kind of see that in this insight into what's going on in your mind at this moment. So yeah, balance activity with rest. Yes, I wrote, extend your paw. Oh yeah, his soul was telling him, you extend your paw toward things. And they both seem to be insulting each other by calling each other animal. Carl, of course, calls her whore. And there isn't really a cutting insult for men in 1916. I call him incel. That seems to be like a nice dig on how Carl Jung is behaving. And if that word had been around back then, surely his soul would have called him that, and it would have been justified. So, okay, extending your paw. So, yeah, what else have we got? The ancient cold dragon can change its shape, humanoid or beast. I wrote, it seems to be the thing that Carl is possessed by. And yeah, as BT mentioned, it seems like Carl's the villain in this story. He's coming from a place of being a very bitter, disconnected, not to overuse the word incel, but that seems to be how he's looking at both God and woman. It's like something, and it's an interesting thing, reflecting on the whole thing where Carl is seeking a relationship with that which is outside of his ability to easily perceive, whether that be his own shadow nature, whether that be ancient Chinese culture and wisdom, whether that be the nature of womanhood. And yeah, he struggles with that, or at least in this moment, he's struggling with that. And so, yeah, I don't know, like nothing really solidly conclusive, but that's what I got from editing and then listening to the whole thing and trying to make some connections.
Well, all right. Thank you, Editor Edward, for telling them that. I couldn't hear you, of course, because of the direction of basically the order into chaos thing. The atoms falling apart and slowly over time. Time moves in a particular direction. Time's arrow from the perspective of a synaptic orchestra that is based upon as its foundation the very atoms and molecules that are disintegrating in that direction and can't go backwards. So I think it's safe to say that as beings, as souls, outside of any limitations of the physical universe or sponge brains, it's probably pretty easy to go back and forth and up and down in every different way and on and off of every different kind of spectrum of anything, I would imagine, with some practice, right? But yeah, I'm pretty in my body. I'm happy to say, having met plenty of people who weren't. So yeah, anyway, whatever Edward said, that was for your ears alone, not for mine. But I can tell you something. Let me go ahead and put the bookmark here. We did a lot of extra reading of tarot today, so... And still the episode's pretty long, what with Editor Edward's tarot analysis and all. I wanted to let you know a little secret just between you and me. Some of you might remember Joe Zabinski and I did a conversation like a couple years ago. I mean, almost like a year and a half ago. It was episode 130 of the Esoteric Nerd podcast, entitled The Arbatel, Olympic Spirits, and Geomancy. Well, if everything goes according to plan, there's going to be a follow-up to that. And I'm tempted to give spoilers, but I'm not going to give spoilers. But let's just say that if you would like to, I don't know exactly when it's going to come out. It might come out Sunday, it might come out Monday. But it's coming up, assuming everything goes according to plan. And if you would like to be up to speed so that you can jump in with that episode already familiar with everything that's going on, then you can check out episode 130 right now. And I'll do an end screen also, Editor Edward will, so that you can watch, episode 130, the Esoteric Nerd podcast. And if you've got a lot of time, like if you're like, I'm not doing anything for the next several hours, then you can check out the Arbatel here on Chicken Philosophy. That was me reading, I think, for eight episodes, about a half hour each, except there was one where I lay on my back and talk for an hour. But that was episode 4, if you want to skip to that one. Anyway, yeah, that was me preparing for episode 130. So tomorrow, or the next day, whenever it is, episode 135 is going to come out, which is a follow-up to 130. So that's what's new. So the end screen is going to be the Esoteric Nerd episode. If you want a couple of hours of me and Joe talking as like the final product of both of us diving into the Arbatel and then meeting to talk about it. But if you want to dive in along with me and be just as confused and, kind of frowning and what is this? Why am I reading this? And then it really set the tone for a lot of aspects of Chicken Philosophy, because I was hesitating to be too open about, when I started with Carl Jung on Chicken Philosophy, I was like, okay, let's read some Carl Jung. I'm a pretty rational person. I like Jung. A lot of people like Jung, right? But then when I decided to read the Arbatel on Chicken Philosophy, I was talking about God and angels and spirits and stuff like that. And so then on episode 4 of the Arbatel was when I laid on my back and did some deep soul searching about, okay, well, there's this side of me, but it doesn't mean I'm a total weirdo. I am, but I'm also normal. I'm half normal, half weirdo. Sometimes I can appear to be 100% normal. Sometimes I can appear to be 100% weirdo. And, tried to kind of reconcile that in my super ego reflection or something. I don't know, my outward, my social media projection or whatever. There's more than one. Hence the different personas who read different books on Chicken Philosophy. Anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of foundational Chicken Philosophy origin lore about how Chicken Philosophy got the way it did, as well as the preparation for the Arbatel episode. In that Arbatel, those 8 episodes. The 9th, if you do the Arbatel series, if you click that playlist, that's going to be on the bottom. So on the top is going to be if you want to skip to the end and just watch the Esoteric Nerd episode to prepare to understand 135 that's going to come up, and I'll let you know when it's up. But if you click the one below, then you get to read the Arbatel along with me for 8 episodes. Hear my identity crisis in episode 4, and then the last video in that playlist is the one that's going to be up here. So hence skipping to the end if you want to do that, or going through the whole process if you want to do that with the Arbatel. And I look forward to watching the analytics and seeing how many folks choose to do the one or the other. Thank you for going along on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and Carl Jung's madness of January 1916. He did eventually get better, like John Cleese, no longer a newt. If you know, you know. He's down in the Bahamas. He's not quite as progressive as he was 10, 20 years ago. He's dragging his feet a little bit with the being progressive. But, he's John Cleese. We love John Cleese. It's kind of like, I don't know. You know, you have that one friend who you kind of fundamentally disagree with about one or two kind of core things, but you still like him. You know, it's Monty Python. You have to love Monty Python, right? Anyway, all right. I guess we're done here. Nothing left. Anything I want to mention? I haven't been looking around the room at the end of the episodes anymore. I should do that. All right. Nothing is jumping out and saying it needs to be mentioned. So I will go ahead and assume that I'm done with today's episode. I said it. I said everything I wanted to say. So we'll put on some rose cross. That's nice. Dragon's blood and rose cross. And we'll gaze into the crystal ball of being an esoteric, paranoid weirdo, right? No, you don't have to be paranoid to be an esoteric weirdo. In fact, it's better if you're not. Okay, so end screen. You remember Arbatel, skip to the end, or Arbatel, go through the whole thing. Those are the two choices. There's no other choice, so you got to pick top or bottom. I mean, above or below. I mean, anyway, you get it, right? Okay, till next time.